questions I'm most often asked is regarding golf clubs. What are the best clubs out on the marketplace? What are the best clubs for me to play? I'm going to look today at irons in particular, but in future videos we're going to look at other elements of the golf bag, wedges, woods, driver in particular, and try and help you understand some of the elements that go into golf clubs, how you can select a club that best fits your personal game, and also some of the pitfalls to look out for. So we start with the irons. Irons come in a variety of shapes and sizes, and I've got 4 here as an example, and just to take you through the process, you go from a traditional bladed iron, it's no cavity back, as golf clubs were made over many years, through to the new forged muscle back or part cavity irons, so next step in forgiveness up from a blade, to a more of a sort of a cavity club, but still has some characteristics in terms of its looks to a blade, and finally all the way up to the big cavity back clubs, very low centre of gravity, big head, thick sole. So how would you match one of those areas of golf clubs up into your particular game? And it's important to understand that every manufacturer will make a club that fits somewhere across that spectrum of club. Now, traditionally we've been told that cavity clubs are for high handicappers and more bladed clubs are for very low handicappers, and if you looked traditionally at the professional game, you'd see the vast majority of pros used to play blades, and the vast majority of mid to high handicap amateurs would be told they needed to play a large cavity back. But in my opinion, this is not quite true. So how would you know what is the best club for you to use? Well, I think the first thing to understand here is that regardless of what anybody else tells you, every single golf club, whether it's an iron, a wood, a putter or a wedge, every single golf club that you ever buy is a compromise in some way. What does this mean? Well, basically means that there is no such thing as one golf club that does absolutely everything. So if we take the two extreme ends, if we go from the bladed club to the cavity back club, what are the differences? Well, a bladed club, where do you lose out? You lose out on the forgiveness. You have to hit the sweet spot, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of performance. So there's very little forgiveness. But what do you gain? Well, you gain a lot of versatility. You can control the trajectory of the ball flight. It's much easier to hit high and low shots. It's much easier to hit fades and draws. So for a high quality ball striker, a club that fits more towards the bladed end or the cavity blade end is something where you're going to maintain manoeuvrability in terms of hitting high and low shots. And also, if you're a player who likes to hit fades or draws, you don't like to hit a particularly straight shot, you manoeuvre the ball about a bit, you would look for a club that potentially sat more at the blade end of the spectrum. If you're a player who's not really interested in the manoeuvrability of a ball flight, you're looking for forgiveness, you want to make sure that if you miss hit it you get the maximum performance, then you're looking more towards the cavity end. If you're a player who struggles to get the ball up in the air, you're looking for height and trajectory in your ball flight, then again you'd be looking more towards the cavity end of the spectrum. So forgiveness versus versatility. And every single golf club that you choose or you buy will fit somewhere in the spectrum between maximum forgiveness and maximum versatility, but no one club will give you the best of both worlds. So I think that's important to understand. The second thing is that the honest answer to the question, which is the best club out there, is very simple. It's the one that you hit the best. Nobody should tell you, if you're a mid to high handicapper, that you can't use a club that's more towards the bladed end of the spectrum. But it's important to understand where you're going to gain, but also where you might lose out, and be able to make a purchase informed on the idea of, if I'm going to make a purchase at the blade end, I'm going to have to make sure that maybe I keep practicing, maybe I keep my swing in good shape. If you're maybe not going to play or practice so much, maybe your ball striking isn't so much of a strength, then again perhaps you're going up towards the cavity end. But perhaps I think the most important element from a custom fit point of view nowadays is the ability to blend across the spectrum within your set. So the days of buying a traditional 3 iron to sand wedge set and 3 woods to get your set of golf clubs have long since gone. What we're looking for is a much more precise way of purchasing clubs if you're going to make that investment. I'd like to see you buy clubs which not only are custom fit for your game, but also take into account the spectrum that we've described. So my recent experience with the Mizuno Fitting Centre resulted in me using a golf club which, for my mid to short irons, 6 iron to wedge, I went for the small cavity version. So I have an iron which is just one step in forgiveness away from the pure blade. It's a small cavity. It's a beautiful looking golf club. It gives me the opportunity in the mid to short irons to still manoeuvre the ball a little bit and in particular control the trajectory. I can hit the ball both high and low with this club. But when I get a little bit further up the bag into 5 and 4 iron, I've selected a club with a completely different head. Now most people would think that sounds a bit strange, but it's actually not. 5 iron, 4 iron, my 3 iron I've replaced with a hybrid. What I'm looking for in this area of the bag is forgiveness. Not so interested in the manoeuvrability from that kind of distance away from the green. I just want to make sure I can hit a shot, and if I miss-hit it a little bit, I still get maximum performance. So my 5 and 4 iron are a different club to my 6 iron to wedge. The shafts are the same, the grips are the same, everything else is the same, but I've changed the head. I've added a club in that's a little bit more forgiving. I think nowadays this blend of irons, working your way perhaps in a wedge or an iron, you're perfectly happy playing a bladed club. But when you get into the middle of the bag, and particularly when we get towards the longer irons and hybrids, we're looking for forgiveness rather than versatility and control. So some ideas there for you to take into account. If you're looking at changing your golf clubs coming into the start of the season, I think it's really important that we understand how these club heads, the way that the versatility versus forgiveness can impact on your game, and select a set of irons which you feel comfortable looking at and feel good to hit, but select a set of irons or a mix of irons which give you the maximum help within the area of the set that you're looking for. I hope this helps. I'll look forward to your comments.